Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well and I hope you're all faring okay. Finally, I got to sit down and do this Q&A session. I know I've been promising this for a while, but it's just been a lot of ups and downs, and I think if you follow me on Instagram you would know more, you have more updates there than on here. So there's been a lot going on, but I'm finally back and happy to get back on the grind and start sharing content again. So how are you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Esther. I'm a pre-qualified pharmacist working in a community setting, and what I do is I share content that's study related content, pharmacy school journey or pharmacist journey, empowerment content, and I also sort of put in some little lifestyle where I share life about me outside pharmacy or outside studying. So if you're new, please welcome, and please do not forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and also share with your friends. Also switch on your notification bell so you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. So yeah guys, that's it. Welcome back. So today I'll be doing the Q&A session I've been promising forever, so it's finally time for me to do it. I hope it's not going to be a two-split sort of video because you guys have actually asked a lot of questions. I remember towards the end, I think of July or something, after my exams last time, I asked you guys to send me your questions, which is pharmacy related, pre-reg related, anything you want to know, and you guys have sent me lots of questions. So I'm going to have my phone with me looking at the question and answering them. I'll try not to ramble on and on to answer your questions. I'll try my best to go straight to the point, and hopefully I'll be able to answer all your questions that you needed, and hopefully we'll be able to enjoy this session. So if I were you, I'll grab a drink because it might take a while, but I'll try my best to answer all the questions. So guys, without further ado, let's get straight into it. So guys, the first question I've got here is, what books do you recommend for oral, and when did you start preparing going into year 3? I think this is not pre-reg based style question. This question is focusing on the oral, and I'm just going to start by saying what oral is, why we do it, and things like that. So what is oral? Oral is like a national exam that we do in the UK for all pharmacy students or international people that want to come and practice in the UK, where you sit an assessment, which is like calculation and situational judgment test, and then you then rank the places you would love to work in terms of preferences, and then you get matched. It's like a matching system that we do here for pharmacy students, like they do in the US, but it's just for pharmacy students, and then you then get matched with the organization according to your grades and according to your choice of where you love to work first in that place. When I did I got my first 10 choices, so that's where I'm working now. So yeah, so that's what oral is. Resources or books I recommend for oral. Personally, during my time when I did oral, wow, I feel a bit old, but yeah, during my time when I did the oral, there was no resources out there compared to now. There are more resources available now that I feel like they are very, very relevant and useful for people that are preparing for oral. I think some people just got their results back, or I don't know, some people just apply. I really lost track of time of what these application things are like, but yeah, so that's what it is. But one of the things is that the calculation resources I used then really helped me. It was much more harder calculations compared to what the main exam was, so it actually over prepared me for where I want to for the exam, and I got 9 out of 10 for the calculation. And then for the SJT, I actually hardly had any resources, so I used the medical school situational judgment test. All I had to do is I had to think like a pre-registration pharmacist, not even as a pharmacist. I had to think as a pre-registration pharmacist in answering some of my questions. SJT are quite subjective. Everyone's answer are right. No, there is no wrong answer, but it depends on what they are looking for specifically and what they will choose to do first. You can always prepare for it. There's this misconception that you can never prepare for oral. You can always prepare for it and do really well. So, but I do know that there is a book that everybody's using now. It's like a yellow book or something like that. I'll put a picture of the book here somewhere, and you see, you can get your hands on it. It has lots of SGT practice questions that you can use to get you prepared. And when I start preparing for it, I think after my holidays, I enjoyed my holidays, and I think from like my exam wasn't until October, so I prepared for the whole of September stroke October. That's how long I used to prepare. prepare for the exam. I think during our test was when they cancelled the multiple minute interviews, which is good, which is fair enough. But yeah, that's how I did it. And I would not say I'm the best person to advise on Oreo because I rank 958 out of 3,000. To some people it's really bad, to some people it's good, but I'm happy with where I am. So yeah. The next question was, after your week experience in hospital, would you say you preferred it to community? I'm a bit on the fence on this one because I don't even know what I prefer. I don't prefer community, I don't prefer hospital, so I'm a bit, but I definitely did love my hospital placement, and I actually liked it better compared to when I was in the community. But if you think about it, when I did it was when I was not having a great time at my community placement and I just wanted to get out. So I really loved it. It was nice to actually have a good insight into mental health than what we usually thought it was. So yeah, personally I haven't decided which ones I prefer, but at this point, maybe because I haven't experienced industry, I'm leaning more into industry than actually hospital and community. But who knows, we'll see how it goes. But both of them are great. I loved hospital better, and I've always loved working in a hospital anyways, compared to community. But yeah, I don't think I don't prefer one or the other, but I just like the hospital. But I don't know if that makes sense, if that answers the question, because I don't know, literally I don't know what I prefer, but at the moment I don't prefer anything. So yeah, the third question is, what are your plans post registration? So I don't know if you guys knew. By the way, follow me on Instagram because I hope there's people more on there than on here. So I failed my pre-registration exam in June and I had to resit it last week, November 3rd. Fingers crossed I passed, so I'm not qualified yet. So what are my plans post registration is literally I just plan to actually locum for a bit, maybe for like a year or so, to help me decide what I want to do, if I want to go into hospital or if I want to stay in community like manage a store, or if I just want to do something else entirely from pharmacy, because I have so many thoughts on my head right now. So that's my plan, is to actually go into locuming and just locum for the time being until I decide what I want to do with my life, because at this point I don't know, I'm just going with the flow and the will of God for my life and His purpose for me. So that's what I'm doing. So that's it. I have no plans for now. The next question is, when did you start studying for the exam? So because I've had to sit this exam twice, I'm going to give you two different perspectives. In June, for the June one, I relatively started studying from like January. The first 6 months I could not do anything because it was just so hard trying to balance and know what I'm doing with the community workload and things. So I get really tired and I was not feeling well. Elsewise, my health was not at the right place. So studying was on the last thing on my mind. But once I got sorted health-wise in February and had a lot of rest, I think I had almost 4 to 5 weeks off work. I actually rejuvenated and I was ready to study again from the beginning of March. So I started studying officially from the beginning of March for my previous exam. But however, I still knew, because I can tell when I study and I know what I'm studying for from university days. So this one, I just was like, Lord, just take the wheel. I was just not myself. I just want that to be over and done and just get out of it and things like that. So I did study, I would say, and when I sat the exam and I got my results, obviously maybe I could have done better, so obviously I failed, so I have to do it again. So what I did differently, which I might have to do a different sit down video, was that I sort of tried a different study technique this time. What I literally stuck to what I usually do when I was at uni. I did not try to invent a new one, and it really worked better. But what I knew is that I knew better than what I knew in June, and I was much more prepared and much more confident with the exam I sat in November compared to the one in June. Don't quote me. Hopefully I'll keep saying this until I get my results next month, but fingers crossed. Yeah. Personally, also I would say, if I were you, I would start from the beginning, from day one, doing little snippets, so that by the time it's towards that last 3 months before your exam, all you're doing is you're going through past questions, because you've already gone through the content, you understood the content. You're going through past questions repeatedly, and that would help to consolidate the knowledge of what you've been learning from the beginning. I wouldn't advise piling things up to the head, because I sort of did and it didn't help me. So I would say definitely learn from me and start from the beginning. do what works for you. Don't listen to what everyone says online. You don't even listen to me. Do what works for you. And the next question was, what sources would you recommend for maths and clinical pre-registration revision? Sources I would recommend for maths, there is lots of free resources. People will send you resources here. That one, you have no problem getting resources. If you need resources, please you can start reaching out to me from December once I get my results, if I can say is these resources that work for me. But like I basically used all the free resources that are available to me. I did lots of practice questions because it's calculations. You can't really just learn. You have to actually practice for you to be able to learn the content and learn how to do the calculation exams. I recommend doing one calculation once a day. So the Medway, Pro Farmers, all those things, there's lots of resources that you could use. You could sign up to some people which their money is not that expensive. For example, Revise Farmer, which I'll have to do a different video on because it's a long video to do on resources. But yeah, in terms of clinical, I think there's one with that everyone gets access to, which is just free, which is just like simple slides, information on topics, which sort of narrow things down, makes things straightforward instead of having to read all the BNF. Trust me, I don't know how people read all the BNF. It's of no use. Like I did not do it, and I don't think it helped me either way. So yeah, that's it. The next question I have is, what was the biggest lesson you learned as a pharmacy student? The biggest lesson I learned as a pharmacy student is actually believe in yourself. Like, you can do more than what you think you can do, and you're capable of doing more than what you think you can do. So like I said, from my background, I had no A levels, so I always had doubts compared to my fellow counterparts. Even when they asked us to do something, like, oh, these people have done A levels, they definitely know more than me. But not really, to be sincere. Like, we all learn at the same pace, at our own personal paces, and surprisingly finishing the degree with a first class, and not just a first class, with a high first class, it's like, wait, girl, you're actually capable. You're part of those that you think you could be in. You could actually sit on the same table with them because you both succeeded and came out with first class. So when they're talking about first class people, you can actually sit with them as well, even though they did A levels and I didn't do A levels. So it's just to show that I'm actually capable to do more than I think I could. You just have to sometimes get out of your comfort zone and actually face things as they come. So that's one thing I have learned, and that goes with me to everything I'm doing in life now, even with adulting, because this degree was something I started because I challenged my dad, and I successfully did it and I succeeded. So just know that you're capable, and that's something I have learned. And anytime I want to do something, even though I want to have those doubts in me, I always say to myself, Esther, you're capable, you could do it, and that is what makes me stand out. So guys, my next question is, do you have any tips for starting pre-registration here? Well, I do, and I don't know if that video would have been out before this one, but I also did a video about 5 things I wish I knew about pre-registration here before starting. You can go and watch that if you haven't watched that. That will sort of give you a bit insight into how you can get prepared for your pre-registration here. But my top tips for pre-registration here typically is that be yourself. Be yourself. Like, there's nothing that's going to benefit you more than being yourself, and be ready to learn, be ready to network, and find a good routine that works for you. And also do what works for you. There'll be so many information out there, so many resources out there. Oh, this is how I studied, I got 98%, this is why I did that, this and that. Trust me, that is what works for them. But you can take those information, those advice and ideas from them. You can then narrow it together, try it, and sort of put it into what works for you better. So those are the things I would definitely recommend. Opportunity to network is really good, because that would help you in the long run, where you finish and you want to go into the world of work, and you want to sort, because pharmacy, I wouldn't recommend sitting in one sector for forever. You get to a point where you want to change sector and experience other sectors and see what they do. So networking will really help in getting certain jobs. Networking will also really help you to get to places where you would not have thought you would be, because it is not just about dealing with medication or dealing with patient. There are various things you can do with pharmacy as a whole. So networking will really be your thing. Like I said, be yourself. Be yourself as much as you can. That will really help you, and it will just make you be just that your personality, and you can just, it will help you to relax more when you're at work instead of walking on eggshells around your colleagues or even around your bosses. Bosses are there even though they are your manager and they're your boss, but they're not like thank God where you have to be scared of them. They're supposed to be people that you can approach. They're supposed to be people that you can speak to whenever you can, supposed to be people that you're comfortable being around. If you're not comfortable being around the person you're learning from, it's going to be quite difficult for you to learn. So that's why I would say be yourself, and that person that wants to be your tutor would also feel comfortable and relaxed to be able to work with you. And also go out of your way if you need to learn things. Go out of your way and also do what works for you. That's what I would say are my best tips for pre-registration here. My next question is, which somebody has asked, I think, is that around what time do you have to start applying for a qualified pharmacist job? Personally, you can start once you are 6 months into the job, some once you're 3 months into the job, because most job application actually starts from October, and then you apply, you start your pre-reg in August, most likely sometimes July. So around that October, November is when most applications starts for hospitals, like they have their residency program, so you can start applying for that. Same for industries as well, you can start applying whenever, anytime you want. They understand that you are pre-registration pharmacists, so they know that they expect you to pass your exam, but that shouldn't stop them from giving you a job if you do well in your interview. So you can start applying whenever the job application is out. So it doesn't have a fair like, oh, you have to wait till a certain time. It doesn't matter. Once the job application is out, you can apply, do well in your interview, and you can get the job ready for when you qualify. My next point will be, what do I do to be on top of work? So like I said, that's something I personally struggled with during my first saga, my first few phases of pre-registration year. But what happened at the end of the day is that I had to manage my time wisely and to also be able to get balance. So for example, I do know that on weekdays, because of how tired I am, including traveling and back from work to my house, once I get home, I just eat and I just want to sleep, because the sleep is more important for me to be sane and ready to go to work the next day. But what I do is that my weekends, I use my weekends very wisely, and I use my weekends to study. So because my weekends, my family members are just relaxing, so I sort of have the whole living room and things to myself where I'm studying, or I can stay in my room all day because I don't have anything to do and just study. But also I sort of try my best to have a bit of a balance where my Saturdays I spend that studying, and then Sunday after going to church I do a little bit of studying until like 4 or 5 p.m. and then from 5 p.m. to the rest of the day I just relax and maybe watch a movie or just do something else to just take my mind off the studying. But while I am at work as well, I actually get the chance to study. So while you're doing something and you notice, oh, I've just picked a box of medication, I can't remember what this medication do, you can quickly take a big bit of it, 10 minutes or 15 minutes to just go around and start research about that drug and feed that back to your supervisor. Another thing I do is that mostly at my workplace, when patients come in that they want to speak to the pharmacist, my pharmacist asks me to do with it to just help me build my OTC knowledge. So once I speak to a patient, I recommend something, before I even sell the thing to the patient or ask them to get it, I'll go and feed back to my supervisor and say, this is what the patient has come up with, this is what they've said, this is what I've said, what do you think? And she will agree. And or if she doesn't agree, she'll say, I think it's good, but I think this is going to be better. And that way I am learning. So that's how I stay on top of my work, because studying personally by myself at home was a bit difficult, so I guess the most out of it while I am at work. So the next question is, what were your study routines during the pre-registration year? Well, like I said, I had no study routine. It was because I could not sort of implement what I was doing at uni with what I was doing as a pre-registration pharmacist, because it was completely different. So I was literally drained. That's the thing. So I could not really have a study routine until towards the end, which is why when I resit my exam this past week, I could see a huge difference, because then I was able to implement my university study routine because I wasn't working. and I've already been signed off as a pre-registration pharmacist, so I don't have any other to-dos on my list than to focus on my exams. So I was able to just do what I usually do, follow my routine while I was at uni. But I feel like that is something I could have worked better and prepared for if I knew, or if I had prepared before I entered the pre-reg, because I would have been able to see what routine I want to put into place to help me study. But one study routine that I think is really good, and I think would have helped me better to pass my exam in June if I did, was actually, after getting home, doing one calculation questions every day. That really helped me. By the time you do one calculation question every day for a whole year, you've already done 365 questions. That's it. So you'll be so ready for the exam. So that's what you just need to find what works for you and sort of stick to it. Don't try to change routines because some people say this is what they did and it works for them. Look for what works for you, try it, test it out, and see if it works for you. Then my last question is, how did you find the balance with working and studying at the same time? This also sort of overlap with my other answers, is that at the beginning I could not find the balance, and that's true, like, which is what my page is all about. Truth, we have to be truthful, and I have to tell the truth. I could not find the balance of studying and working at the same time. It was hard. Sometimes work had to take over, and sometimes studying had to take over, and sometimes sleep even fits in that middle, because I am just so exhausted. I just want to sleep. That's it, because it's just a lot. But after some time, like I said, maybe it's also due to my health issues that I had at the beginning of it. After I got everything sorted health-wise, I was able to actually get back on the ball, and I was actually interested in studying. Then I hated studying so much, and I was like, this is not how I used to be at uni. I really love when they say it's time to study. I'm excited to go to the library, but those days I just couldn't be bothered. I was just lazing around, and I was just mentally drained. I could not do anything. But the difference this time, when I had to recite my exams, I was actually ready and excited to get back to studying. The energy came from nowhere. I look forward to studying every day. I look forward to doing questions because I can see improvements in what I'm doing. And even though I could not see some improvements, I did not let that get to me. I was like, Esther, it's just a point of call. I need to learn more about that topic. I need to know more about that topic. That's just what it is. You can find balance. Don't think by doing this you can't find balance. You can definitely find balance. You just have to test things out and see what works for you. So guys, that's the end of all the questions that you've asked me. Thank you so much for sending your questions in. I hope you've been able to learn one or two things from my answers today to your questions. Hopefully in the future we can do another top-up Q&A questions, because then I would have been working and I can have more answers to your questions, and then I would have got my results as well, and I can have more answers to sort of give you more definite answers to some of the questions you had. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you love it, and if you do, please do not forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and also share with your friends. Also switch on notification bell so you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. And with that being said, I will see you all in my next video. Have a good day. Bye.